ויוזד יעקב נזיד, ויבוא עשיו בן חסודה והוא אויב. ויאמר עשיו אל יעקב, הלעיתני לא מן האודם הזה, כי אויב אנכי. על כן קראו שמי אדום. ויאמר יעקב, מכרוך היום את בכורו זכלי. ויאמר עשיו, הנה אנכי הולך למוס, ולא מוזל לי בכורו. ויאמר יעקב, הישבו לי כיום, וישב עלי. וימכור את בכורו אל יעקב. ויעקב נתן לעשיו לחם ונזיד עדשים, ויאכל וישת, ויקום וילך, ויבז עשיו את הבכורו. So you know the old story. Yaakov Avinu is cooking some food. He was a chef like me. Esav comes along, and Yaakov tells him that he can only have the food and condition that he sells the Bechorah, his right to be the firstborn, which eventually would mean carrying on the legacy of Avraham Avinu and Yitzchak Avinu, eventually Avodas Beis Hamikdash, and to be the progenitor of the Jewish nation. So Esav sells it for a stew of lentils because he is very hungry. And when he's done eating, he doesn't say, "Oh, what a foolish thing have I done." He goes, he leaves, and he despises the Bechorah, the firstbornness, the Avodas Beis Hamikdash, the fact that he can be the progenitor of the Jewish nation. Rashi explains, and if I'm not mistaken, this is based on a Gemara, which I've learned a long time ago. I even forgot what it is. Which said that that day, Esav went off the derech. He left the fold, and that's why Avraham Avinu had to die earlier than he should have. So, obviously we can argue about what exactly it means that that day he left the fold. Perhaps that day it became evident and it became public or obvious. But the symptoms or the roots or the sickness was there prior. Today we also face a problem of our children leaving the fold, unfortunately. This problem exists in all sectors and could be traced back to many causes. But the fact of the matter is that the problem is here and we have to deal with it. Now, the most popular ways to deal with it and to try to prevent it is to bring more and more of the outside world into Yiddishkeit. But I'm not sure that this is the true solution. I mean, this is a very deep problem, and it has multiple very intricate and complicated causes. It varies. It's a case-by-case item, case-by-case phenomenon. Each person is different. So I don't know if bringing in more baseball and more swimming lessons and movies and trips and what have you would actually solve the problem. I'm not even sure that it would help. I'm not sure that people actually leave in order to go to movies. Maybe they want a whole different lifestyle altogether. I'm not sure. And I would say that because this problem could be traced back historically, I think, approximately 300 years, although similar problems have existed already almost since the beginning of our nation. We remember Korach and his rebellion. We know the state of affairs after Osniel died, the second judge, almost immediately the Yidden, in a certain sense, abandoned Torah. And then, of course, during the period of the Shoftim back and forth, and the same story repeated itself during the first Beis Hamikdash. So it's not an entirely new story, but the way in which it manifests itself today is really similar and comparable to that of which happened about 300 years ago, when the grip of the church on everyday life in Europe started to ease and came in the age of enlightenment, the end of the dark ages, slowly the feudal system, was falling apart. With this came, if not outright emancipation, but the walls of the ghetto were being torn down. And at that point, especially first in Western Europe, in Eastern Europe, it waited about another 100 years, but the Jews started just to abandon religion in droves. Hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people left the shuls, the ghettos, left their garbs, left their Yiddishkeit, and they went to the universities, to enlightenment, and to the good life. And also it's possible that until that point in history, the restriction on the Jews wasn't so blatantly obvious compared to other nations. Probably other nations also had restrictions, and the economic situation wasn't that great that you could really draw such a great difference between the Jews and the other nations. Of course, we know that the Romans and the Greek were deeply steeped in entertainment, and the fact of the matter is that actually the way in which the different segments of Jews reacted to this, I mean here the Tzdukim and the late Hashmonaim, is actually a little bit more similar to the way that it happens today. They just grew closer and closer to Greek and Roman culture, but they still maintained a great deal of loyalty, meaning they saw themselves as Jews and part of the Jewish nation, so much so in fact that the Hashmonaim, who were Kohanim, they also took the Melucha. They wanted the kingdom. So that was one of their great crimes. And so I don't know if the answer to the Av Derech and at-risk kids is really more baseball and more movies. I think the problem really lies in our real inner selves and in the fact that our Yiddishkeit is by far not as genuine, not as strong, not as true as it used to be in the olden days. We are, even the most secluded and the most distant of us from Western culture, we still live lives that are very, very comfortable and very, very pleasurable compared to what life was even, 50, 60 years ago in Europe. I mean, just the stories that I hear from my parents, who weren't among the poorest of the poor, it just light years and different worlds from what we are accustomed to today. The word poverty doesn't mean what it used to mean just 50 years ago.